Here we are again at our timeout coaching tip. Remember, timeout is when the coach says, hey, let's pause for a minute and build a play that we can execute so we can win. And today, as we're talking about this people factor, we want to call a quick timeout to make sure that we solve the problem that may be how we handle people, or the fact that sometimes we fracture our relationships with people to fix the problem. So here's the tip for today. Prioritize people over problems. The first step to overcoming or making sure people are prioritized over our problem is what we're gonna call the High 15. High 15. And it's actually a book written by Les Perot. And the book written by Les Perot is entitled High Maintenance Relationships. And in that particular book, he lists 15 different types of relationships. But briefly, understand that when you prioritize those relationships, a couple of things will happen. Now, these aren't tips right out of the book, but these are tips that help us maintain those 15 different types of relationships. One, ID the relationship. Just literally try to figure out what type of person are you dealing with. Also, learn to AD, appreciate differences. Listen, everyone's not gonna be the same. Appreciate, and we're just gonna abbreviate that, differences. And so in order to maintain this play high 15, we must make sure that we identify what type of personality and person we're working with, and then two, learn to appreciate their differences, and of course celebrate what is similar. Play number two, max out. Max out is simply remembering what John Maxwell said. John Maxwell says, everyone communicates, but few connect. It's learning how to consider what your choice does. When you make a choice, consider how it makes other people feel. Will this get them angry? Will it make them sad? Will they get excited? Will they be happy? You have to make sure that you consider how the choice is gonna make them feel. Also consider how that choice is gonna impact their life. You wanna make sure that when you choose to do anything, you don't create a problem with people because you didn't consider how it's going to change their life. Then thirdly, consider how it impacts their other relationships. Listen, the last thing you want to do is make a decision that causes someone to be at odds with their own family or their friends. You don't want to cause them to have to choose between other people that are in their households. And sometimes we create problems by not thinking about how people are already in relationship. And then lastly, if we're gonna really make sure we prioritize people over problems, then number three, it's a book written by Van Moody. It's actually entitled The People Factor. And he simply says, you gotta learn how to build great relationships and end bad relationships. Quick way to do that. Make sure that your rules don't ruin your relationships. Make sure that the policies that you live by don't pick your personality. And then lastly, don't let your values victimize your views. All of these things mean the same, that you gotta be flexible. You can't be so hard and so entrenched in doing everything one way. If you do that, you're gonna make people the problem. When we really wanna make sure you prioritize people over your problems. And these plays, your high 15, your max, and your PF, people factor, will make sure that people don't become your problem because you maximize people over your problem. And as a result, you won't get stuck asking yourself, now what do I do? Because you would have successfully learned how to prioritize people. And in doing so, you maximize the people factor.